Hey, what is going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a great weekend. Today we are going to have a special guest on the channel for this video. It will be the first time on my channel and a little while since he's been anywhere else as well. We're going to be talking all about the recent changes and text clarifications to characters including Shang-Chi, Deathpool, Cap Sam, and more, and what this really means for us as players going forward in this game, especially looking towards next patch with Weapon X and those new characters, because I think it's really important to understand what is being sold or advertised to us and what we're actually getting on the other end. So lots to talk about here today. Hope you'll stick through this, and if all goes well, hopefully we'll have this special somebody on again and more. Also, before we get started, I have to give a special shout out to the sponsor of this video, Gemstone Legends. So I want to thank Gemstone Legends for sponsoring today's video. What is Gemstone Legends? Well, it is an awesome team-based RPG puzzle game with a very unique matching system that allows you to match gems in lines, as well as diagonally over the course of 3 turns to make some pretty interesting shapes. And the game has loads of different heroes from tons of different factions to choose from, all with different unique special abilities to help you conquer your enemies. This game is also completely free and available for both iOS and Android devices, so make sure to give this a shot. Also, if you enjoy live PvP, there is lots of that in Gemstone Legends, so worry not, fellow duelists out there, for there is something for everyone in this game. As you progress in the game, you'll also pick up tons of items and artifacts which help you customize and improve your character to further increase their power. I also really love the art style as well, which was hand-drawn from scratch, animating all of their moves and skills. Gemstone Legends also boasts an incredible story taking you on a journey through many different realms, all while fighting tons of different enemies and raid bosses along the way. This game is very free-to-play friendly as well, giving you plenty of opportunities to rise to the top. So if this sounds good, then this is the mobile game for you. And if you're like me and you love hero collector games where you can power up your roster, then you need to get Gemstone Legends. You can also find me under my nickname Boilon, so feel free to add me and say hi. So what are you waiting for? Download and check out Gemstone Legends by clicking on the link in the description below or scanning the QR code on the front of the screen, and after completing the in-game tutorial, you'll get a super new player bonus worth about $50 to help you on your quest. Also, a great big thank you to Gemstone Legends once again for sponsoring this video, and of course, to all of you for watching it today. Alright everyone, so like I said today, we have a very special guest with us for this video. I'm sure many of you in the Marvel Strike Force community recognize him, but for the small percent who, for whatever reason, might be living under a rock, please introduce yourself, sir, for the audience.
Tauna. I'm one of the envoys. I've played the game since release. I've fucking lived the game. Yeah.
That's fine. most people probably know, but just thought I'd do this anyways.
Hard to put me on the spot a bit.
And there you have it. Yeah. So today I wanted to have a conversation with you about some of the stuff that's been going on this week, particularly Shang-Chi. We'll start there. So let's talk about the Shang-Chi adjustments, the fix, whatever you want to call this. You know, was this an adequate response? What would you have liked to see? I also think this is the first time we've had a brand new mechanic added to a character mid-patch that wasn't a rework. And the way they tried to describe it, you know, that was just crazy. So I'm going to bring that up on the screen just for other people who might not be aware. We'll have the little, the post that they made about the ability update. So, you know, what do you think about all this so far? And what, I don't know, you just tell me.
I guess it kind of like... I guess the thing is that, like, even if they hadn't have done this, they would have ended up buffing them eventually anyway, because they said, like, this is where they wanted it to be. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous to me that so many characters have been like this. And, like, I'm not happy with this fix, mostly because there's been people who worked up on them for both the gamma raid and for even like the skill raid. Like, I invested more in for the skill raid because, hey, he's healing a little bit. But I don't think it's like I don't think it was an easy fix, and it kind of comes down to, oh, hey, it shouldn't have worked. It should have worked right in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly, you know, if the minus 1000% damage thing, that's what they were saying. If that was actually what was happening, which it seems like it probably was, you know, that clearly had to be removed. but was the addition of the heal, which, I have, if you can see on your side. Coincidentally, the performance of the team with the healing bug is actually providing some positive results. That puts the team on par with their intention. If this was their intention, then why wouldn't have this just been added into the get-go? We believe that a proper healing mechanic for Shang-Chi would be appropriate. I've never heard of a response like this before. Like, this is just kind of wild to me.
It reminds me a lot of like when Skilletary first came out. They didn't hit their marks at all like that, so then they ended up having to buff them. And I think that's what they're trying to hint at here is, without this heal, they wouldn't have hit their marks, so we would have buffed them anyway. But like the fact that it's like something that happened mid-patch because of a bug that they implemented, and like even like the counter, like adding counter to the full team wasn't in there. The fact that like they've got like the negative weird 1000% bloody piercing damage when Colleen's there, which is BS by the way, because he had nothing about Colleen in his passive to start with, like in his special to start with. They've like added something about Colleen in there now, I believe, but like I don't know, when characters like this come out, I go through the JSON, I find what abilities bugged, I find out why it's bugged, and like try and report that back to them to get shit fixed. But like it feels like half the time is QA.
Yeah, well, I mean, this addition of the heal, like, do you feel this was just like, I don't know, some sort of laziness on their part to sort of just like, was this intended? Like, I don't know, was this always the plan, the secret plan of Scopely Boundless to do it this way? I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Well, the thing is that, like, obviously next patch, I'm thinking there's going to be a war offense team. So this is a way they can help sell that war offense team because, oh, hey, Infinity Watch is struggling more than we thought they were going to. So now they can be like, oh, here's the counter that you can actually use against Heroes for Hire. Like, our alliance, we're like Plat 2 or something like that. We're pretty decent. We've got like Adam Warlocks and stuff like that out the wazoo. But even then, like some big Heroes for Hire we can get stuck on. So now they can kind of like be, oh, hey, now we've got something else that we can use here as well.
But did they really need the heal is what I'm wondering. Like, if you were to take the heal out, would they still have been as good and still quite challenging to beat for Infinity Watch on that case?
I think they still would have been challenging, like, but you would have been able to potentially punch across easier or something like that. Like, even then with his heal, he does the heal and then the cleanse. So if they heal blocked, then he's not going to do the heal.
For Shang-Chi's heal?
Yeah.
Oh, so he heals first and then cleanses. Is that
heals and then cleanses. Okay. It's the opposite, I think, to Iron Fist, who does cleanse and then heal.
Right. Well, I was just about to say, I mean, this makes it sound like he's a better Iron Fist, like almost the exact same text, or like, the exact same sort of type of skill, except Shang-Chi's special does damage, and Iron Fist is just a heal in this case. So, it really seemed like, I don't know, should I be putting a healer ISO on Shang-Chi instead of Raider? I'm still going to run him
Raider, I think, because his damage is just crazy. But like, even that heal, it's like massive. It's like 50% of his health.
Right, and so on War, when you're getting the med bay and the barracks, that can probably, have some pretty huge numbers.
Yeah, exactly. You can get like completely stuck behind. If you don't finish off Shang-Chi fast enough, then he's going to heal, and then you've got to deal with Luke also taunting thanks to the new mechanic they added in. And
admittedly, I fought them once, and that was, I guess, during the bugged phase. I haven't fought them since this update with the heal, but I have heard that he is bugged. They didn't implement it properly, and that he doesn't heal himself. So
doesn't heal himself. His base, I think his basic as well is also still bugged, where if he procs deflect or dodge with his first one, then it ends up like doing another attack or something, like double attacking.
That's just wild. Like, I kind of assumed that this was going to happen. I was like, there's no way they're going to fix this correctly. And so, unfortunately, I was right. I don't want to be right about these things, but it's just like, I've kind of come to expect these things that they just can't get fixed on time or just, when they're supposed to be. I think that's crazy. And I kind of want to bring this to this photo here. This was raised from one of my Discord moderators who is Russian, actually. And so you might be able to see on the screen here. I know we can't read it. I can't read it anyway. anyways. But what he told me and how he described it, how it would be in English, is basically it says that he's getting 75% speed bar on his special, because I'm pretty sure his special does give speed bar. But then it also says here, if you can see on my screen on the yellow text, that's in war defense. And it says also gain 75% speed bar in war defense, suggesting that it gives maybe 150% speed bar in war defense.
It does 50% outside of war defense and then 75% in war defense. So
right.
I don't know why it's got 75 there twice.
So like, it's suggesting that it might do 75 outside and then another 75 in war defense. So, you know, if this isn't another language, it makes me think maybe there are other languages or a lot of them that don't have textually accurate kits. I mean,
that happened with Deathpool, yeah.
We could barely get it in English, so, you know, it's no surprise that they screwed this up elsewhere. So, yeah, I'm not happy about Shang-Chi, but I just wish that we would get as advertised. And, you know, we'll get into that more when we start talking about some of the other characters. I want to talk about Cap Sam a little bit. We're kind of going backwards a little bit. Looking at past characters who have received text clarifications like Cap Sam, specifically his ultimate, Freedom Flight, you know, I was riled up a little bit about this. I kind of pushed to get this text clarification a little bit. I felt that it kind of went against the spirit of what we were showed in the Strike Time video for Cap Sam, and it just came down to the order of operations. And I think that's what people were unhappy with, was that, you know, now we got this for each enemy remaining, which I thought was a bit funny, because, you know, they never mentioned this in the Strike Time and things like that. And, you know, it was Reminex who told me, you know, why this couldn't happen that way, or, you know, why we couldn't get turn bar based on how many people he hit. And that comes down to the order of operations, and that comes down to like Falcon's special, you know, the way he scans characters for the turn bar, but it also removes evade and pings evade and deflect. You might have noticed that when using it in the past.
Counts as technically an attack.
So if that was the case for Freedom Flight or for his alt, that would be very similar, and that would happen, and they don't want that because it's already pretty good, and so that would be too OP, I guess. But I just felt that, you know, again, it's just another thing that we're not getting. I'm going to say as advertised in quotes here, because I just feel like, you know, I pay attention to these things. I'm like, okay, I want, and maybe some people are buying them based on what they're reading on the blog, what they're seeing in the Strike Time, these kind of things. And so I feel it's a bit unfair, and I just want, across the board, I just want, you know, as advertised. That's what I'd like to get. So
yeah, I think the issue is the advertised goes like two ways as well. Like, as with Shang-Chi, you've seen him on war defense. He's going incredibly well on war defense. People started buying him because of that, but the kit was bugged. So buying it based off the bugged kit. But then there's also buying it based off what the actual kit is showing as well. Like, for example, buying Sam when he first comes out. It's like day one investors will buy it based off what the kit is, and then the people later on will buy it based on what the day one investors are reporting back.
So regarding Shang-Chi, like, how do you feel that they handled it? Like, do you think that they should have just removed everything? Or are you okay with the heal that they have in now? Are you mixed?
I actually, like, I really like it. Like, I think that it was probably about the best solution they could come up with without, like, completely nerfing him back to where, back to where he was meant to be. And if it ended up lining up with their vision of him, then fine. But the fact that he doesn't heal non-heroes for higher characters as well, like, obviously they wanted him to be better on his team, which is fine, but then it nerfed him in, like, skill raids where people had built him up for, or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on that, actually, because it was healing quite, you know, a significant amount to outside of his own team. And so, you know, I was thinking of Dark Dimension City as well. Some people were trying him out there. And I guess in this case, you would have to have the full team or most of the team of Heroes for Hire, you know, because the heal only works on that. You can't, you know, and Doom Raid's skill, that's basically out the window now, more or less.
Yeah,
I don't
like
think
like, he's still decent there in regards to just being a, like, massive damage dealer, but he doesn't have that kind of universal synergy now that, like, I like seeing from characters. I like seeing characters that work in multiple different areas. Like, New Warriors and Secret Avengers both, like, have, like, that theory crafting around them, which I would have liked to have seen from him, but
yeah, I think that's my issue with war defense characters in general. I think the last character I recall that was kind of more widely applicable was like Emma Frost, you know, where despite having war defense text, you know, you could use her in other parts of the game, and that was great, you know, but characters like Shang-Chi, you know, and even to some degree Colleen Wing and Misty Knight and those, you know, it's very minimal, you know, for arguments about that.
They've got like it's kind of like when they did Pimtech. They like put them into the Greek raids, and they're like, "Oh, hey, now you guys have somewhere else to use them because they're great characters." And it's like, well, no, that didn't make them a better character. It just made us like have to require to use them
the changes. Else. I'm pretty sure nobody asked for. I don't think anyone was saying let's put Pimtech up on the Gamma raid. I
think people wanted them to be in the Gamma raid, but they also wanted them to like broaden them out to being raids as well as like Dark Dimension.
I think we definitely. That's probably a different conversation. Gamma's a hot mess. Give me Delta Raid. Give me something new. Gamma just has so many team tags that just haven't been addressed for so long, and that's frustrating. So I have here on the screen here Deathpool's passive ability. So let's talk about Deathpool because that was the most recent, other than Shang-Chi, the passive ability text pertaining to the on-kill. She was not triggering her own attack, which I believe was marketed this way in the strike time, if I'm not mistaken. And the ability energy part, which to me anyways seemed like a lazy fix on enemy death, generate one ability to those who were not at full energy at the start of the current turn. You could debate whether or not that was a nerf or a buff, but it's just awkward, I guess, because that's the first time we've had a text laid out that way, I guess, and I was expecting more of like a Thanos type of thing where just flat on kill, spit out ability energy. This seemed a bit needlessly complicated a little bit, but how do you feel about this?
So this is like the opposite of like the Sam one, where they've like looked at it, it's not working how it's meant to, and then been like, oh, we will actually bug fix it. It kind of just it frustrates me because they've shown that they can fix things. They've shown that they like can like go back and look at things, but then they're like, oh, we're not going to do that with Sam though. Mm-hmm. Like even though you sold him as like this character that's meant to be generating a turn meter and stuff like that. It's just it's annoying.
So it makes me wonder then, is it based on sort of how big of a fuss that we make out of certain characters? Because it seems like Deathpool got attention fairly quickly. Shang-Chi not as quickly. and Cap Sam, I don't know. I don't remember how long it took before we got the text clarification, but
that was the Cap Sam one was before his release, I think, actually.
The text clarification.
Yeah, I think they did that before his release.
I should know this because I kicked up a fuss myself, but
it was like strike time, then text clarification, like on the patch or something like that, or it might have been at the start of the patch before he was.
Yeah, I should totally know this for some reason, but So the point is that is it based on like how many of us make a fuss about the character's kit, and the louder it is, the more likely they're to pay attention to it, or is there any rhyme or reason of what they're doing?
To me, it's like so. For example, like let's say with Deathpool. People called him out and said, hey, it was a bait and switch or something like that. Mm-hmm. You've kind of like, you've sold it the character doing this and then not. And then people are talking about like, oh, hey, lawsuits and stuff like that. That's the part that makes me think, oh, hey, if people are saying that kind of stuff, then they'll be more likely to fix the characters properly rather than just text fix them. I mean, the other thing is that maybe it's because she's like one of their own unique characters. So they're kind of treating her more special, or maybe it's because she wasn't performing properly without it, which I don't agree with. I think she was performing fine with it. Mm-hmm. Who knows? There's a few different reasons why it could be happening, and we don't get like any information as to why. Like they don't kind of go into detail as to why they choose different things.
Yeah, well, I mean that's why I was wondering like how much more do you guys know as envoys that we don't, or me who are not envoys know about what's going on with characters, and it seems like some of us are still in the dark.
Not much. Like so the only thing is like I see the bug on the day or whatever, or with like Shang-Chi saw it like when his offers came out or something like that and tested it. Went over there and reported it, posted it and stuff. Sometimes we'll get a reply, sometimes we won't. Depends on the day, depends on Cerebro's schedule, I guess, depends on whatever. We don't like there's little bits of other information that we get, but it's nothing to do with like, oh, is this character being fixed in a certain way or anything. The most of the time our information comes at the same time as your information, which is, oh, hey, this is the change that's happening. Or sometimes like they'll ask us, oh, would you with this character, would you like this change or something? But that's very, very rare. That's like happened once or twice or something.
It is just really. Did you watch the Marvel video with where he was talking about the Shang-Chi event with I forget her name, but it was really hilarious.
Yeah.
And you know, when she was playing with Shang-Chi, and then the heel goes off, and then she's like, "Was that a heel?" You know, I thought that was super hilarious, and his kind of. You could see his face. You know, it was kind of awkward, and he's like, "Yeah, I think so."
I'm
like, "Yeah, come at me, bro."
Nice. Did he just heal? He just hit him and healed?
Yeah, I believe so.
Incredible.
pretty sure that he had to have known about it by then because I like the day of it. I made a video the day of it. I posted in that. I like looked in the JSON, looked through it, try and find where it is and stuff, and like. Yeah, it had like there had to have been some kind of knowledge of to what's going on, kind of thing.
And it was kind of shortly thereafter. I think maybe it was the day after. That's when he started to acknowledge her when the post came out about him. So I don't know if it was coincidental that maybe he got called out on the video because it was super awkward. And then he's like, okay, now we need to address it. You know, is it up to him? Does he have to wait to get a green light from someone up above? You know, to say this or not? I'm just wondering why it takes so long between when a lot of us kind of let people know about these problems and when we got the posts about it. I guess that delay.
I think like 99% of the time, if Cerebro's not talking about something, it's because he doesn't know what to say yet. Whether that's because he's not sure like when like timeframes of things that are going to be changed. Because if you come out and say like, oh, this character is bugged, then the next thing people are going to say is, oh, when's it going to be fixed, kind of thing. So like, and or even like with the Shang-Chi one, I think that was a really kind of in-depth one. Like with you've got like completely two different things working in this ability. How does it work? What way is it meant to work, kind of thing? And then they have to decide, oh, do we want to keep this part? Do we want to keep this part? Like, and I don't know if they like. I'm not going to say that they're going to test it because I don't think they do. But see how it's going to be without the heal. Like, does the team kind of still stand where they want to be with the heal? But like, the issue is that none of that's kind of communicated with us sometimes. Like, I find that like, I think it was today. Today was the first time Cerebro commented and said, "Oh, we're still looking into the Shang-Chi bug." When it was like a week with nothing. Then it was, "Oh, here's the fix for it," and then it's. The next day it's like, oh, we're still investigating as to why it's bugged, kind of thing.
I guess what's curious for me is that you may have seen there was a post on Reddit about a guy who went through the JSON files and found this. So if it's in the JSON files, why couldn't have someone else on their end found it in the JSON files? And why did it?
Definitely.
It felt very it was like 3 hours or 4 hours after that guy posted on Reddit that Cerebro posted as well. So I'm like. Did he lead them to this, or did they already know about this? And if this this guy, I forget his name, he actually watches my channel. I feel bad now, but if he knows about it, why don't they know about it?
Oh, 100%. Like, there's been characters. So, okay, let's take Electro for example. When Electro first was coming out, we got to actually playtest, which was like the only patch we've actually got to playtest, to make videos for you guys to be able to, like everyone to be able to see. And Dr. Octopus wasn't giving her charges, and it was because in her files, in the hidden what are they called? Hidden tags and stuff. Chargeable was spelt wrong. It was missing an E. So like the patch came out, we were able to test it. I figured out that bug, went in, find the JSON, look, this is why it's not working, and pointed it out to them. And there's been like multiple characters that like the first thing I do when I see a character's bug is I go into the JSON to figure out why it's bugged. I don't know if that helps them. I don't know if they just don't read the JSON. I don't know if like there's little things that are skipping through or missing through, but like it just, to me, it's just silly.
Well, I mean, it just takes one person. I mean, clearly, if they can just find one person who knows how to look at the JSON files, that's all you need. It seems.
Exactly.
I was about to say something else, but it's been a long time since you mentioned the testing of the characters. Whatever happened to the test server? Wasn't that a thing like way back?
So as far as I'm aware, there's like one. So there's like three different test servers. There's one that's an internal test server, which obviously we don't have access to. They are the only ones that have access to. And then there's two other ones that operate at like the same time. And they need to use the same server, but they can only have like, say, A or B at the moment. A is the one that like has all the max characters that we can go test on, while B is the one that they're using for like the war tests and stuff. So then if the war tests are up, then we don't have access to it. However, then there's like issues trying to get access like when they're not doing other tests, which I don't know. I think there's just a whole lot of internal stuff.
So has it been a while since you yourself, I guess, have access to that? Or have had access to that?
ISO changes, I think.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Where Blue ISO, when Blue ISO was coming out, we had, but that was not the one that we got to go on and test, like make footage for them or anything like that. That was like the one where we get to like port our characters over and test out Blue ISO and see if it's living up to where it's meant to be and stuff. Yeah,
I was just wondering if even that, might help you to test, if they did that maybe for one day, prior to a patch release, that the envoys or someone else, or I'm not going to say someone else, plurally, not just a single person, got to test these characters, that surely somebody competent enough would figure this out, or at least know something's wrong enough to like say, hey, something's wrong, look at it again.
It reminds me a lot of when they gave us footage for, I think it was the Secret Avengers. The Secret Avengers, they gave us footage of them in raids, and they did not go well. And I don't know why they gave us that footage, because it was awful. Because then when they actually came out and we got to test them, oh, hey, they're actually really great. Like, no offense against Cerebro, but I don't think he plays the game at a super high level or anything like that. Which is fine. Like, you can't expect everyone to play at super high level or anything like that. But being able to show off these teams that are meant to operate at that high level means that, like, I mean, they're underselling their own teams. Like, people, like, when Secret Avengers were coming out, they're like, oh, they're not even that great in skill raids prior to them actually coming out. And then people tried them and they're like, oh, hey, they're actually really great.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should just give people access, or, select people access, plural again, just not one person, access to these characters beforehand, and maybe that'll allow, better videos than that Secret Avenger one was pretty awful. I remember watching a couple of YouTubers on that and their reactions to how terrible the video was. And so we can avoid that kind of thing. And maybe even for them, that would make them more money, because, then they'd be like, oh yeah, these guys are actually pretty good, using them in more relevant content, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and being able to catch these bugs prior to, one, the characters being released, and two, the characters like going on sale, would be hugely helpful to them as well, because, well, they're not like screwing themselves over, and two, like the community, because that way the characters actually work in the way they're meant to, and they can like start looking at, oh, with Deathpool, do we want to change the passive? What should we do about the passive, kind of thing, prior to her release.
I would praise them for a month straight if we could just get one patch where I'm not going to say there's no F-ups, because that might be asking for too much, but at a bare minimum, the very minimal kind of problems. It just seems that we might be going for a hat trick. I don't know on this patch, because Death Bullet was problematic. Shang-Chi was problematic. I heard Cloak I don't have Cloak unlocked because I don't spend. But I heard the Cloak isn't 100% how he's supposed to be.
I think he makes people vanish with his special, which is obviously thematic, but means they're not on the field anymore.
I heard that the passive is a little bit inconsistent, but I haven't heard much more than that. The second-hand information there. And then Dagger's a completely different conversation, because, well, yeah, we're not going to talk about that here. But the interactions with Cloak and Dagger, will it be working? We won't know until it comes, and that's why I'm concerned. That this is the new norm, and it's disappointing, because I would maybe spend more if I could be assured that I'm getting what's advertised. I want fairness, and B, that it's not just bugged to hell all the time.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many bugs, but focusing purely on the text changes there, and it's not something that's new either. It's been something that's going on for ages. These text changes dating back to the game's launch. It would be great to just have things double checked prior to launch.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that actually. So I want to kind of move into something else. So are we on a slippery slope? And I wanted to use that term specifically with regards to how characters are released, how QA is done in this game, which we both know is pretty terrible. But what this means for future patches. You know, we have Weapon X coming down the line. Should we get as advertised, or does this set the stage for basically anything to change on a dime, depending on the issue, the severity, and basically whether or not they have the time to do anything about it or not, or the degree of public backlash in some case, which at least seemed to have impacted Deathpool a little bit, but was a bit slower on Shang-Chi, I think.
I think it comes down to how much money they make on certain characters as well. Like if Wolverine has something where he's not getting the proper piercing or something like that, more likely a text fix, because everyone's got him, they've already invested in him and stuff like that. When if Omega Red, who next legendary potentially comes out and he's not applying his debuffs properly or something, he's applying 3 random ones rather than 4 or something like that, potentially actually fix, like rather than just a text fix.
So how quickly something gets done, you think, is based on how much money it's going to either cost them or maybe how many people are angry about it?
That's what makes me think it. Like I think that with Shang-Chi, there was 2 very different camps. There was people who wanted to see him stay the way he was and like them potentially do similar to what they did with Now, where they did the heal and stuff, maybe extend the heal out to non-Heroes for Hire characters. And then there was other people who were like, you sold this character this way, he should be this way, what's going on? Like just revert it back to how it's meant to be. And it depends on, I think, how much people have spent on the character and how much they've invested into the character.
I think more people may have spent on Deathpool than they did on Shang-Chi, because he was a war
definitely.
defense. Some people just are, very shy away from the sort of the war defense thing. So I'd imagine Deathpool was a little bit more applicable, and people probably spent a little bit more on. And she was an original character, I guess, to some degree there.
That's why they use them for legendary unlocks, because no one wants to spend on them. Same with War.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of 70-30 now on Heroes for Hire for legendary unlock. I was in either Heroes for Hire or in the Secret Avengers camp, but I think I might be leaning more towards Heroes for Hire. They do have the formula, so it almost makes sense. But so very likely the devs themselves are probably overworked, or there just isn't enough staff to accommodate this game anymore. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it's clear that they probably don't have the staff that they need. We could talk about COVID being an issue, but how much of this should we be taking into consideration with all of this? I feel bad for them, maybe. But, is that our problem? Is that Scopely's problem? I just hate being the QA for this game all the time, and exactly why I stopped kind of giving them money since Kestrel, more or less, because I wasn't comfortable with spending not knowing what I would be getting out of these new characters or not.
I think they are working on like hiring more people. Like you can see that they've got hires up on the on LinkedIn or whatever it is, spots that they're trying to hire. I think they've been looking for a QA lead for like, I don't know, a year, 2 years maybe. Like someone, like I think they've been hiring QA for a while, but like I don't know, like it seems like those positions either aren't being filled or they're being filled and then like they're going away. Who knows what's going on? I do think like don't get me wrong, I enjoy this game and I do think the devs want what's best for it, but I think that they do need to kind of pick up the slack for a lot of the stuff that they're doing, like characters coming out bugged constantly, when it's not even like the characters coming out bugged and it's like this really obscure bug where if you've got Shang-Chi and he's versing Wolverine, then he deals 10% less damage or something like that. It's literally, here's a whole 2 new mechanics that aren't here that you can easily see if you play against this team or play with this team. I don't know what's going on. Even like with the Deathpool thing, they like came out and they changed her description, and then they came out and they're like, oh well, we weren't meant to change her description, and it was like only changed in English as well. They're like, oh, we weren't meant to change her description, it's actually, we're going to fix it instead. But it like got accidentally pushed from a dev build or something like that. The fact that it was on a dev build to start with means that they were considering just completely nerfing her. But then people saw it and they're like, kicked up a massive stink, obviously, because like they're completely nerfing the character from what they kind of initially said that she was going to do.
Well, I mean, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I think it was kind of funny that, okay, she gets released, then the text gets changed. Wait, the text isn't what everyone wanted. This is crazy, and then it goes back the other way, and you know it gets changed. And it's just like, you know, characters like Kestrel, who it's obviously stated that she doesn't trigger her own passive. You know, that's, I wouldn't say it's obvious, but you know, it was there from the get-go.
It doesn't state it really in here. It just says during ally turn, so you just have to assume that.
Okay, but you know, it's a little bit more obvious than what what was going on with Deathpool. You know, and just there was a lot of back and forth, and it's just like, can we not just get this in the first go? You know, not the fifth go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, I don't know if it's like a QA thing. I don't know if it's like a dev being overworked and not double checking things, or what's going on there. Like, I think we've been speculating about what's going on there for like the last 3 years or something, like since the game released. And like even things like the Maria Hill Red Stars or something like that being pushed out. It's like, what's going on here kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Like I want to feel bad, but I'm just not sure who I'm feeling bad for exactly. You know,
I feel bad for Cerebro personally. Like, he's the person I feel the most bad for, because he's the one who has to stand there and be like, "Oh, guys, we kind of fucked up again." Like, it's just kind of like
that part where, you know, with like I said, I made mention to that earlier about the heel part on the video, and that was just super awkward. And I'm sure he knew it, and he was like, "What do I say? You know, how do I make this better?"
They're probably like sitting there in meetings, like trying to figure out what to do about this, and then it shows up on stream. Which I'm not a huge fan of the streams either, because they don't show much. They're showing off the Shang-Chi medallion event, but like it's not an event you can go play or anything like that.
No, it was pretty cringe. It was. I mean, I sat through it for an hour. That's an hour I'm never going to get back. But you know, I kind of had to do it anyways, because I'm just curious. You know, then we get moments like that you pop out. So,
yep. I like just looking at the comic books behind Cerebro and figuring out what's going on there.
See if there's any Easter eggs going on.
Yeah, which there always is. So.
Okay, so I think that covers basically most of what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you, Tauna, for coming on the channel today. It's an early, I guess it's an early 4K sub celebration for me. I'm not there yet, but I'll be there soon. And so thanks very much for that. And
anytime.
And maybe we can do this again sometime, and that'd be awesome. And so if there's any out there that still don't know you, tell them where they can find you.
I think it's just Tauna now. Tauna on YouTube. Also stream on Twitch under XX Tauna XX, or just go into Discord. Like any Discord, you'll probably be able to find me. Just tag me, and I'll show up. Kind of like the boogeyman, I guess.
Awesome. So thanks very much once again for coming on the channel, and of course to all of you watching. Until next time, I have a line. Stay safe and healthy. That's a new thing, because I'm not doing so well these days. And I'll see you all later. Boilon and Tauna. I'm pointing the right way this time. Signing out.